Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, Christian Israelites, and for many people who are followers of the religion called Christianity, the expression Christian Israelite may be unfamiliar to you. However, in this series of videos, we're going to be presenting the facts concerning a forgotten truth about the Bible and the history of the true Israelites of the Bible, namely the Anglo-Saxon, Celtic, and Caucasian people, who are the true Israelites of the Bible. And we're going to be proving to you that the Jewish people are not, in fact, related to the Israelites of the Bible at all. And it's actually the fulfillment of the prophecy. There's several prophecies in the book of Revelation, chapter 2:9, verse 3, Revelation 2:9, 3:9, and 12:9. All tell us that there is going to be an imposter group pretending to be Israel and who will deceive the entire world with their impersonation of Israel. That's clearly what these verses tell us. So what we're going to be demonstrating in this video series is, number one, demonstrating the fact that the Caucasian people are in fact the Israelites of the Old Testament. And the Old Testament tells us that these Israelites will be cast off for a period of 2,520 years, starting in the year 745 BC. And that's when the house of Israel, the entire 12-tribe house of Israel, split up into two factions, the northern 10 tribes and the southern 2 tribes. And those two factions never actually again made contact with one another until much later in history. Now, you're not going to get this information from mainstream Judeo-Christianity, and you're not going to get this information from the Jews, because they don't want you to know that you, the Caucasian people, are in fact the true Israelites of the Bible. So they're not going to discuss this history. But this history is clearly in the Old Testament. Much of it is backed up in the New Testament, and also from the apocryphal writings. It will also be backed up from the Apocrypha, and of course from mainstream historical sources that we will be quoting in this series. Okay, so the first part of this series is going to be entitled The Migrations of True Israel. And we're going to be tracing the migrations of these various Israelite tribes from old Palestine, or known in those days simply as Israel. And the northern 10 tribes referred to their land as Israel, and the southern 2 tribes referred to their land as Judah. Okay, that's how they referred to their lands. They weren't referred to as Jews, and that's a mistranslation from the Old Testament. So that's going to be part 1, the migrations of true Israel. Part 2 will deal with the great impersonation of Israel by the Jewish people. And in this video section, we're going to be describing how the Jewish people originated not in Israel, but in the Edomites and Canaanites of the Middle East, who were neighbors of the Israelites, in fact, for the entire history of the 12 tribes of Israel. And also after the tribes of Judah and Benjamin returned from the Babylonian captivity. And when they returned, they reestablished the house of Judah, continued through the Maccabees and the Hasmoneans, and also as Jesus Christ himself was in fact of the tribe of Judah, as the Bible clearly says, and that the house of Judah, in fact all Israel, would accept him as their Messiah. This is more proof that the Jews cannot be Israel, because they did not accept Jesus Christ as the Messiah. But our people, the true Israelites of the Bible, did in fact accept him as the Messiah. So, and then we're also going to be tracing the genealogies of the Israelite people descending into our people today, and the genealogy of the Jewish people, actually from Cain down through Canaan, through Esau, and through Edom, which became known as Idumea by the Greeks, and that the scribes and Pharisees descended from these Edomites of Idumea, and that their religion, called Judaism, was actually a recent invention by the Jewish people around the time of Christ. It doesn't go any earlier. Judaism as a religion does not go back in time any earlier than 121 BC. That was the first time that an Edomite was circumcised by the house of Judah. So we're going to be detailing that story in part 2. And in part 3, we're going to be discussing the concept of Mystery Babylon. Mystery Babylon being the world empire of merchants that is clearly described in the book of Revelation. And for some reason, modern Judeo-Christianity has almost nothing to say about this subject, even though it is probably the most important prophetic subject in all of the Bible. In fact, the Bible devotes 2 entire chapters to Mystery Babylon, which is, as I said, the world empire of merchants, which rules the world and creates a new world religion, which we're seeing today very clearly being formed. There's a new world religion. In fact, Prince Charles is probably one of its most active proponents. And this new religion, which we can call syncretism, which is trying to blend all religions together under one umbrella, despite all of the contradictory propositions that all these religions have. And of course, this is the universal brotherhood of Freemasonry and the Illuminati, pretending to put the world into a universal brotherhood when in fact it's really a dictatorship. And we're seeing that dictatorship come into reality right before our very eyes these days. And we are recording now in May, in the middle of May, in the year 2010, and we're going to be prophesying the significant major disruptions of civilization brought about by Mystery Babylon itself. Remember, Mystery Babylon is a world empire of merchants. Now you look at the United Nations, you look at the International Banking Fraternity, the Bank of International Settlements, the World Bank, all of these, Goldman Sachs, etc., all of these huge banking institutions are part of Mystery Babylon, and your mainstream Judeo-Christian churches will either not tell you about it or they don't know about it. But we're going to explain to you how the world is now subject to a world dictatorship of merchants and bankers. And this is absolutely vital information. You cannot understand the Bible unless you know this information. So this ends the introduction to our series, and please continue with part 1.